He never planned on spending the night in a freezing cabin with a stranger, especially not her. But fate has a strange way of cornering the hearts that have suffered the most. And when the storm locked them in with nothing but silence and their hidden wounds, he never expected that the woman who once shattered someone else's heart would finally break her own. His name was Rayan, a single father who carried the weight of 2 lives on his tired shoulders, his and his daughter's. Every breath, every sacrifice, every ruined dream, all for her. But even the strongest hearts have cracks, and Rayan had learned long ago that loneliness doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just sits quietly beside you, like an old friend you can't get rid of. That morning, he had driven into the mountains unsure of why he needed to escape, only knowing that grief has a way of suffocating a man when he pretends he's fine for too long. His wife had been gone for 3 years. But the silence she left behind? That silence never left him. The cold wind pressed against his jacket as he stepped out of the worn Jeep. The cabin he'd rented for the weekend looked abandoned, like a place built for people who didn't want to be found. Rayan exhaled. Maybe that's why he chose it. Inside, the cabin smelled of old wood and colder memories. He lit the fireplace, rubbed his hands together, and whispered to himself. Just a few days, just to breathe again. But before the warmth could even spread, a car skidded outside, brutal, sudden, too close. Rayan rushed out. A luxury SUV had stopped inches from a snow-covered ditch. And stepping out was a woman whose presence didn't match the rugged mountains at all. Tall. Elegant. Eyes sharp enough to cut through the world. A woman who looked like she had never lost control of anything in her life. She brushed ice off her black coat and muttered under her breath. Meher Ali Khan. The CEO whose name everyone knew but no one really knew. The kind of woman who built empires, but lost pieces of herself along the way. Rayan frowned. Are you alright? She didn't answer immediately. Her breathing was uneven, her eyes glossy, not with fear, but with something deeper. Something she was desperate not to show. I didn't expect the storm to get this bad, she finally said. A sudden gust of snow hit them hard. Rayan looked at her thin gloves, her trembling fingers. She was strong, yes. But even strength freezes. Come inside, he said. It's not safe out here. She hesitated. CEOs don't like depending on anyone. But another icy blast made her step forward. Inside the cabin, Meher stood close to the fireplace, trying to warm her hands. Her confidence, her authority, the aura she wore like armor. It all peeled away slowly as the seconds passed. Rayan poured her hot water. They hadn't even exchanged full introductions yet, but something about silence between 2 broken people always feels familiar. Finally, she spoke. You live here? No. I just needed a break. From what? He didn't answer. She looked at him for a moment, really looked, maybe sensing a grief she recognized too well. Outside, the storm thickened. Snow slammed the windows. The wind screamed like something alive. Meher checked her phone, no signal. She tried again. Nothing. You won't get to the network until morning, Rayan said gently. The storm's too heavy. Her jaw tightened. The woman who controlled boardrooms, markets, industries, couldn't control this night. And for the first time in years, Meher felt small. A long silence fell. Then, softly, unexpectedly, she whispered. Do you ever feel like life keeps punishing you, even after you've already suffered enough? Rayan froze. Because pain recognizes pain. And for the first time in a very long time, he didn't feel alone. The cabin crackled softly with the sound of burning wood, but neither of them felt warm. Not really. Some coldness doesn't come from the weather, it comes from the memories you wish you could forget. Meher sat on the edge of the old wooden chair, her fingers intertwined, her breathing shallow, like she was fighting something inside her. Rayan watched her quietly. I shouldn't have said that, she muttered finally. I don't usually talk like this. You don't usually get stuck in cabins in the middle of snowstorms, he replied softly. A faint, humorless smile appeared on her lips, and then disappeared. She stared at the flames again, her eyes reflecting something raw, like a wound she hadn't allowed anyone to touch. Rayan knew that look too well. After a long pause, she whispered. My brother passed away last month. Rayan's breath caught. She continued, voice trembling in a way she tried to hide, but couldn't. He was younger, smarter, happier. He built our company with me. And now I walk into that office, and every corner feels like he's still there. Her voice cracked, just a little. But he isn't. Silence wrapped them both like a hand pressing gently on a bruise. Rayan swallowed. I'm sorry. People always said those two words, but sometimes they carried real weight. This time, they did. Meher looked up, eyes watery though she pretended otherwise. He used to tell me, she said with a small, broken laugh, Meher, you think you're strong, but one day life will throw something at you that will break you. And you'll still get up because that's who you are. She wiped her cheek quickly, as if ashamed. But I didn't get up this time, Rayan. I just kept working. Like maybe if I didn't stop, the grief wouldn't catch me. But it did. It caught me tonight. Her voice finally cracked, open, vulnerable, human. Rayan exhaled slowly. I know what it feels like, losing someone you built a future with. It was the first hint he had given about his past. Meher's gaze softened. Your wife? He nodded. For the first time, he spoke about it, not rushed, not dramatic, just honest. She had a heart condition. We knew, but we kept hoping. Hope can be heavy sometimes. He stared at the fire, remembering. The night she passed away, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat next to the bed and held her hand. Because I didn't want her to go alone. A breath left him, long, painful. And I haven't really known how to breathe since. Meher's eyes glistened again, not for herself this time, but for him. Two wounded souls, stitched together by silence. The storm outside beat harder, pressing them closer, as if nature itself wanted them to stop pretending they weren't breaking. A sudden crack of thunder made Meher flinch. Rayan noticed. You're cold, he said gently. She shook her head. I'm fine. But she wasn't. Every part of her shivered, pain, fear, grief all tangled together. Rayan stood, grabbed an extra blanket from the shelf, and placed it around her shoulders. She stiffened for a moment. She wasn't used to being cared for, but then something inside her softened. She held the blanket tightly. Thank you, she whispered. The wind howled louder. The temperature dropped sharply. The fireplace flames swayed violently as if struggling to stay alive. Meher looked at the small window, anxiety creeping into her voice. Will the storm get worse? It might, Rayan said softly. But we're safe. She nodded, though her breathing grew uneven again. He pulled another blanket for himself and sat near her. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Meher whispered, so quietly it felt like a confession. Rayan. I don't want to sleep alone tonight. Not in this cold. Not with everything in my head. She looked at him, not with desire, not with boldness, but with a kind of vulnerability that breaks a man's heart. And then, voice trembling, she added the words that froze him. Can I slip under your blanket? Just for warmth. Just so I don't feel alone tonight. Rayan stared at her, this woman who had built empires, now shaking like a child who just lost the last person she could depend on. He didn't touch her. He didn't rush. He simply whispered. If that's what you need, then yes. Meher closed her eyes, relief, pain, exhaustion all washing over her. She moved closer. Slowly. Carefully. Her head rested near his shoulder. Her breath trembled against his collarbone. And for the first time in years, two broken hearts found warmth in the coldest night. Not romance. Not passion. Just two souls learning how to breathe again, together. The night grew quieter, but inside the cabin, two restless hearts slowly began to settle. Meher's breathing eased against Rayan's shoulder. For the first time since the storm began, she didn't look like she was fighting the world. She just looked human. Tired. Hurting. Healing. Rayan didn't move. He didn't want to break the fragile calm forming around them. After a long moment, Meher whispered. I don't know why I told you everything. Rayan answered softly, maybe because you finally felt safe. Her lips trembled. She didn't deny it. Outside, the wind had slowed to a lonely hum. Inside, the fire glowed low and warm, casting faint amber light across the cabin walls. Meher shifted slightly, not pulling away, just finding a softer place to rest her head. It almost felt natural. Like something the world had meant to happen much earlier. After a quiet moment, she spoke again. Rayan, can I ask you something? He nodded. Why didn't you ever date again? Her voice was gentle, like she was afraid the truth might hurt her. He sighed, staring into the fire. I tried, he whispered. But every time someone looked at me with interest, I felt guilty, as if moving on meant abandoning my wife's memory. He paused. And then there was Eileen. The little one? Meher asked softly. He nodded. She was barely 4 when her mother passed. She would cry at night calling for her, and I would hold her until she fell asleep. After that, love just felt like a luxury I didn't deserve. Meher listened with eyes that softened bit by bit, like ice melting under a shy sun. You're a better man than you think, she whispered. Rayan let out a quiet, broken breath. No. I'm just a man who's trying not to fail twice. Something about those words, so simple, so heavy, hit Meher deep inside. She felt her own guilt rise again like a tide she couldn't control. Rayan, can I tell you the truth about my ex-boyfriend? Her voice shook. He nodded slowly. He wasn't perfect. But he was good to me. Kind. Steady. She swallowed hard. And I humiliated him. Because I thought I deserved better. Because I thought money and success made me superior. A tear slipped down her cheek. Rayan didn't interrupt. Meher's voice cracked painfully. He came to my office one day, to congratulate me on a deal I closed. And he brought flowers. Her body tensed with the memory. I told him he was embarrassing me. In front of everyone. I told him to leave because he didn't belong in my world. She covered her eyes, ashamed. He walked out quietly. No anger. Just hurt. I still remember his face. Rayan breathed slowly, absorbing the truth she had never said aloud. She continued, voice trembling. I found out a year later he still loved me. Even after what I did. And I didn't do anything about it. I was too proud. Her voice finally broke. And then he died in an accident. Before I could apologize. The weight of those words filled the room like smoke. Thick. Painful. Impossible to escape. Rayan looked at her, not with judgment, not with pity, but with empathy. Meher, he said quietly, you can't change what happened. But you can choose who you become now. She sobbed once, soft, shaky, vulnerable. He placed a hand gently on her back. Not possessively. Not romantically. Just, human to human. Broken soul to broken soul. You're allowed to forgive yourself, he whispered. She leaned into him, letting the tears fall freely. For the first time, someone wasn't telling her to be strong. Someone was telling her she deserved softness. Minutes passed, long, healing minutes, until her heartbeat steadied again. The storm had finally stopped. A faint light touched the window. The first light of dawn. Meher lifted her head, eyes swollen but calmer. It's morning, she whispered. Rayan nodded. The world outside was covered in white, a fresh blanket of snow, quiet and untouched, like a new beginning waiting patiently. She stood slowly, wrapping the blanket around her. Then she turned to him with a softness he hadn't seen in her all night. Rayan, thank you. For listening. For not judging me. For being here. He rose too. Their eyes held a moment longer than either expected. You helped me too, he said. They walked outside together. The cold air brushed their faces, but this time it didn't feel harsh. It felt clean. Meher looked at the vast white landscape, then back at Rayan. I needed this, she whispered. Maybe God wanted me to be stuck here, so I could finally face everything I've been running from. Rayan smiled softly. Maybe he wanted both of us to stop running. Their breath misted in the morning air, two clouds rising side by side. She hesitated for a moment, then extended her hand. Rayan, can we meet again? Not as a CEO. Not as a guest stuck in a storm. Just, two people trying to heal. He looked at her hand. Then into her eyes. Something gentle sparked inside him. Yes, he said simply. Eileen's small voice echoed in his mind, her innocent words from weeks ago. Daddy, you're lonely. Maybe God will send someone kind. Maybe he just did. The sun began to rise, painting the sky with soft gold. Two wounded souls stood quietly, watching a new day unfold. Not lovers. Not strangers. Not yet a story. But maybe the beginning of one. A beginning born not from perfection. But from pain, truth, and the miracle of being seen.